Headwind by Diane Taber. Our story takes place in the coastal whaling town of Maine in the early 1700s. In a period home on the cliffs overlooking the ocean, we find Vivian and Dorothy.
If you insist on forcing it, you'll only make the water work against you. Oh, here, let me show you again.
Why bother in the first place is what I want to know.
Just put your hands under mine to get the feel of it.
This way is more work. My way, the candle gets in the water faster.
You'll ruin the candle if the water gets into the mold, Dorothy.
I tell you, I can make it do what needs to be done.
And I tell you once again that you'll only succeed in making us have to begin the whole process over.
You don't need to begin the process at all. Because people don't want candles anymore.
Yes, Dorothy, you've mentioned that before.
They don't want candles because they've got oil lamps now.
There. Once you set it down carefully, you can put the weight on it.
More work. And for what?
I don't understand why you dislike candles so much, Dorothy. They can be a woman's best friend. There's no light more flattering than candlelight. And when it glows softly, it can start any man thinking more romantic thoughts.
You can dim an oil lamp and get the same effect.
Where's the romance in that?
Did you start this business for romance or money?
And what if I answered for romance?
Then I'd answer it would be better not to say as much to others.
Why, Dorothy? Are you saying the others wouldn't understand romance?
Romance in the proper circumstances is something we all understand. But as a reason for business, it just doesn't make sense. And what doesn't make sense to people starts them talking about you.
If the people won't buy my candles for the sake of romance, then I'll supply everyone with candles for All Hallows Eve.
It's best if you don't talk about All Hallows too often.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Dorothy, make up your mind. Am I not to talk about such subjects, or to be the subject of such talk?
Oh, you can go on and joke, but it's no joking matter. Why can't you just go along with the rest? You don't sell many candles anyway. They're just too expensive compared to the oil.
I'll give them away if that's what it takes.
You can't keep making candles only to give them away.
If a lamp is that important to you and all the other good wives, then you can use pipe splinters, the same as I do, whatever I choose a lamp.
And spend half the morning gathering enough splinters to get through one evening? Who has time for such things anymore? I'm certainly too busy.
Well then, with so much work of your own to do, it seems unfair to expect you to help me so often.
Oh, no. There's a great deal of work to be done at home, but I would never leave you to do it for yourself.
Remember, I did it for myself almost 2 years after my husband died. I can easily manage again.
But you never had a trade to attend to before.
It's not much of a trade, as you've pointed out many times. I'm one of a relative few who appreciate my work.
But I don't belittle the work itself. Your candles are of excellent quality.
Why, thank you, Dorothy. I do enjoy making them.
I like making things with my hands, too.
I just made this one. What'd you think of it, Dorothy?
It's an odd shape for a candle, isn't it? I can't imagine most people would approve.
I'm not looking for approval. Or are you trying to tell me they've come up with some regulation to control the way I shape my candle?
I don't know why you look at me so accusing. I wouldn't have knowledge of new regulations, not before anyone else hears of them.
There's no need to be so modest. I'm aware that nothing takes place in our town that escapes your attention.
I keep my eyes and ears open.
You still aren't doing it the right way. Oh, that's enough for today.
But I've only been here half the afternoon.
Yes, and you arrived half an hour late. But I'd rather finish up alone. Please, try not to give me another thought.
I'll come in tomorrow to make up for leaving early today.
There's no reason to do that. My needs are easy enough to see to.
Still, there's candles to make, and you'll have extra plates to clean.
It's easier to cook enough for several meals for myself, so there'll be no extra cleaning. Come on your regular day.
There was talk at the square yesterday.
There's always talk at the square, Dorothy.
About a woman down Kittery. Seems she saw too much of a sailing man without taking care to marry him. You know, went bad for her.
Why is that talk behind a person's back is something the town regulations never mention? Even though it's one of the few things they'd be good for.
Most everybody talks. It would be too hard to stop them all.
People talk. Yes, the people guard they talk.
People talk. Even about those who don't talk back.
It's wrong.
It's expected.
I know what we're expected to do. No one can accuse me of ignorance.
There's plenty worse accusations.
And there are always those who accuse just to keep on talking.
The pull to talk can be stronger for some than for others.
Yes, there must be pressures put on someone who has contact with a woman such as the one from Kittery. People want to hear everything she knows, or she thinks she knows.
It just feels good being the one people listen to.
Oh, well, Dorothy. What women can understand that?
No need to feel so superior. I happen to know the woman from Kittery was accused and tried.
And found guilty.
Of course. You can't break the laws and not be punished.
You can be punished even when the law is unjust. Or go unpunished for the gravest crimes.
It's only you saying the laws are not just.
What do you say?
I say she broke the law and has to be punished.
And how should she be punished?
Well, it's not for me to say. The ones who make the laws make the punishments. Oh, I know it's terrible of her to do what she did, but, you know, they...
No, I don't want to hear about it.
Hear it or not, it is something that should make you take heed. Because there's another thing I heard in the square. They say you accuse Thomas Jebson of not being human.
The truth is, I'd say he is quite human. Not humane, is what I said.
Dangerous charge.
An honest charge. Sloping the oil he sells all over the place. Leaving a trail of waste around the door to his shop room.
He was levied a fine.
He'll only sell more oil to pay for it.
Still, he won't be doing it again soon. Not and be giving up profits.
It's the sea that does the giving. More whales for more oil.
Everyone knows there's more than enough whales in the sea.
There's enough beeswax for candles and enough pipe splinters for fuel.
That's the very reason you've angered so many.
So many? I only had word with Thomas Jebson and his wife.
They're not the only ones in town feel you mean them no good.
Nonsense. What have I ever done to any of them to make them think that way?
You talk against the very trade they live by, and you make these candles for people to buy instead.
My candles are of no threat to them. How can I think I could hurt them? They're the ones doing the harm.
It's talk like this that gets people so upset. Doing harm? They're only practicing an honest trade.
They practice slaughter.
Calling them murderers?
It's little else.
Saying they're not human?
I told you, the word I used was humane.
It makes less difference what you tell me. It's what Thomas Jebson told everyone you said that will be remembered.
I mean none of the good people any harm.
That's just what I told them at the meeting house. Mistress courting is good, I said. A husband and children will settle her.
Gossiping in the square isn't enough. Have all the good people taken the talking behind my back? In the meeting house now?
You can't blame them. You bring them to do it.
Then I'll bring them to stop it.
It would be foolish to antagonize people any more than...
And you'll no longer be subjected to my unacceptable ways. There must be other more in need of your services.
You can't mean that. I've helped you. You said I have.
You've helped yourself to my private life to entertain your audience in the square. And at the meeting house. You're bloated full with gossip. All of you, and I refuse to supply you with more.
It wasn't that way. You're wrong, I tell you. If you think I'd talk against you, then I promise here and now never to say another word about you. I'll be silent about you, even if the others turn away from me. But don't you turn away from me. I mean, well, I need my work here, that's what I mean. The children go hungry some days, without the extra grain and the meat you pay for my help. And with a new child coming.
A child? But you have several to care for now. And I thought the youngest was still a baby.
Oh, no, she's too old to count as a baby anymore. She's been with us almost 2 years. It's more than enough time to be looking to the next child.
I won't have you going behind my back, adding to everyone's talk about me.
I swear I won't.
If only you could swear the others won't. No, of course you can't. Oh, stop looking so frightened. You know I won't be responsible for children going hungry.
You are good. I said it and you've proved it. Thank you. I'll leave you to be by yourself now. I know how that matters to you.
Here, take this jar of preserves with you. I put up more than enough, and you've told me how much the children enjoy them.
I'll be extra early tomorrow.
No. 2 days from now is when you're hired to come. There's no need to come till then.
Well, then, I'd better ask you now about that extra bit of barley you mentioned I might have.
Yes, all right. Help yourself from the stores in the outer room.
You are generous.
Remember that at the square.
Ahoy, Mistress Coring.
Zenas, I missed you.
Surprised you this time, didn't I?
You startled me.
Didn't expect me back so soon.
Did you miss me?
I've thirsted for the taste of you.
Then drink again.
I'll have more.
It's still light out.
You're alone, aren't you? I waited till I was certain Dorothy had gone.
Of course I'm alone.
Then we're safe enough.
Still, you never know when someone might call. Perhaps the Reverend. That was meant to make you laugh. You know the Reverend would never come to call without giving plenty of notice.
True enough. Besides, we'd have heard him long before he arrived. He'd never come to call on a widow without several people along to guard his virtue.
Such slander.
You can't say it's slander. Not when even little children warn a man to go good and stiff before calling on a widow.
Aye, Captain, we are a hungry lot.
Then come to me, widow, and I'll feed you.
Your supper is what you need.
I know what best nourishment I need after 3 months at sea.
Watch yourself, Captain. Such talk will ruin your reputation.
What of your own?
Oh, I never bother about my reputation. Not with Dorothy and the rest of the town to think of it all the time.
Careful, Vivian. They need very little to weave their whole cloth of gossip.
Then behave as a proper guest, who's come to have a proper supper with the very proper widow courting.
You always try to make it laughable.
What other way is there to treat it?
Others wouldn't laugh.
Oh, I imagine they laugh about me more times than you think. Dorothy has a good sense of humor, when she chooses to use it. And I'll wager she uses it to spice up her tales about me.
She wouldn't dare.
You know better?
Then why did you hire her?
It was at your insistence, if you choose to remember. I told you I didn't need any help.
You agreed it would cause less talk. The people need to satisfy their curiosity over a widow who has taken so long to remarry. But why did you insist on her over all the women you could have had?
She needed the work most of everyone.
And is the least competent of anyone, according to you.
Leave it, Zenas. It's done. And Dorothy is a part of my life now, whether I like it or not. But don't worry, I'll do my best not to cause rumors.
Good. Then we'll have nothing to fear.
Come and take these, and I'll get the bread.
So much food. You sure you aren't expecting company?
I was expecting you.
How? I came back sooner than usual. I told you I'd planned it to surprise you.
I felt you were near.
Yes, I suppose it was long enough to be gone.
Somehow I always sense when you're near. Ever since the day you knocked at my door.
And did you sense how it would be between us?
You made certain of that. You were very honest about how much you desired me.
And you gave me no reason to leave, as I remember.
I've always desired you as much.
Then tell me you've changed your mind.
Oh, Zenas, not yet. There will be time to talk of it later. Now sit down and eat. And tell me, was it a safe voyage?
The voyage was safe enough, and more important, it was a very profitable one. I well earned my lay of the profits, and a more handsome share no other captain commands.
You could earn as much sailing for any shipping company. You're that good a captain.
Aye, and a good thing, too. Takes a great deal of money to live a decent life.
Not so great.
You can say that. You've been willed this home, and plenty of good property.
I wasn't willed my ability to work. I make a life of it.
I'd never deny your abilities.
The point to be taken here is that I work hard and live quite decently without such a great amount of money.
You could have better, and more.
I have what I want.
Oh, and now I'm supposed to say the same. Will you give me much, Vivian, except the one thing you're so stubborn about? I know you don't want to talk about that yet, but we will talk about it soon and settle it this time.
Is there ever anything else I refuse you?
There are some things you can't supply that money can. I have wants that are unfulfilled, but not for much longer. I said it was a profitable voyage, and that it was. Some of the biggest and hardest fighting whales I ever hunted, but well worth the effort for the money their oil will bring.
There's always money to be made by a captain with your reputation, Zen.
And I mean to keep it that way. I take care to know what needs the people want met, then I go ahead and meet them. I get what I want, and I make certain to do it within the regulations.
An admirable practice according to our community.
Perhaps if you'd bother to learn the regulations instead of sneering at them.
Oh, as soon as I did, there'd only be new ones to remember. You must admit, though, that without the benefit of the town's regulations, somehow my work gets done, and the meals get made.
Yeah, and tasty meals they are.
You're a fine one to compliment my cooking. Your steward throws potatoes at old hen into a pot, and you eat it thankfully. You've told me that yourself.
In the past that was true, but this voyage my steward was older, an experienced hand. He made me fritters out of whale brains, and a finer delicacy you'll never taste.
You can't mean it. You don't eat their brains.
They're dead. They don't care what part of them you cook. Or that they're cooking in their own oil.
How can you joke about it?
As long as they're dead, why not make full use of them? Haven't you always told me it's wrong to waste? Don't waste your supper now.
I ate earlier.
It's a sin to waste food.
There are greater sins.
Yeah, so you've told me before. Too often before, so don't bother to do so again. It will only ruin my meal.
I suppose you're right. What's done in the past is past. We cannot change that. The future is something else.
On that we agree. The future is what we should look to. If you'll pour some of your good cider, we'll drink to the future.
I went to the harbour last week and was amazed by the wonderful goods that the trade schooners have brought into port. Tea and spices and, best of all, limes.
Expensive.
There was cloth from the West Indies. Don't you love the sound of that place, Ennis?
Foreign ports always sound better than they turn out to be.
I saw one of the schooners sailing into port, and it was a beautiful sight.
A well-built whaling bark puts any trade schooner to shame.
Dorothy said the shipyard can't keep up with the commissions for new trade schooners.
Dorothy wouldn't know a schooner from a turkey.
Zennis.
All right, perhaps I'm not being fair to Dorothy.
Dorothy isn't the issue, and you know it.
Very well. I can see you aren't going to let me finish my meal in peace otherwise. So I'll grant you that schooners are good ships. But the right cargo makes the greater profit.
I'd say it's more the right captain.
I'll drink to those words.
Then a toast. To the finest captain in all of Maine. No, in all the colonies.
To the finest woman in any port the world round. Who can it be?
I'll have to answer.
I'd best hide.
There's no time to hide, and there's too much around that'll be questioned. Hurry, sit back down and try to eat. Dorothy, did you forget something?
No. I wanted to repay your kindness and give you something in return for all that you have done for me. So I brought you a pudding.
You didn't have time to make a pudding.
Oh, I made it yesterday. Only I forgot to bring it earlier. Then, when I noticed you would put on a large pot, I thought you might like something special for your company's dessert. Why, Captain Rule? I thought I saw the Lawrence Clark docked in the harbour.
You are observant, aren't you, Dorothy?
I am just in from sea. I've only been here a short time.
Long enough to have been invited for supper, I see.
I came to pay a friendly call, and this good woman was kind and offered me a decent meal after my long voyage.
And some of her fine cider.
I was that thirsty for the taste of something more refreshing than the grog I've had these past months at sea.
You have nothing to answer for, Captain. Now, unless there was something more you wanted to know, Dorothy, Perhaps you'll go.
I'm sure that I only wanted to be a good neighbour.
Good neighbours are important to us all, Vivian.
Yes, I do thank you for the pudding, Dorothy.
I hope you enjoy it. It does look to be one of my best, if you don't mind me saying so.
Perhaps you'd like to join us.
Now, Captain, we must let Dorothy get home to her own family. I don't want them to think I take too much of her time away from them.
Well, yes, I suppose they'll be looking for me. I could come back early tomorrow, though, if you'll be needing me for extra work.
There'll be no more work than usual, Dorothy. I'll see you the day after tomorrow.
Well, good evening, then. Good evening, Captain. I'm sure I'll see you again.
Oh, she will not let up about coming back here tomorrow. Yet, I don't think she will openly defy me. But you can bet she'll be at the ship first thing tomorrow, on some excuse or other, to see if you're there.
That I can manage. What worries me more is what she'll say to everyone about finding me here alone with you.
It was bound to happen now or later.
You should have been nicer to her. Maybe she wouldn't have said anything. She could be a strong enemy.
Dorothy is a gossip, but not the vicious kind. She angers me, but more than that, I pity her.
Don't pity her any more than you would the wolves that circle your house some nights.
Pity is exactly what I feel for all starved creatures. Dorothy is only reacting against the hard sameness of her life. There are others who would be far more dangerous.
Still, she can do real harm to us both.
She saw very little.
She can add to what she did see. Rumours are spread from less.
We can face them down if anything should come of it.
No, Vivian, it's too dangerous. I have too much to lose, and it could be worse for you. It's time you stopped your stubbornness.
You're making too much of it, I tell you.
If nothing happens this time, there will be a next. I want you to marry me.
Nothing's changed. I can't marry you.
You mean you won't?
Please, Dennis, you know my feelings.
Damn those feelings. Aren't our lives more important than your woman's feelings?
I live by my feelings.
Then feel this. I love you.
I love you. We never seem to argue about that.
Then marry me. We'll find some agreement on everything else after you're my wife.
I've hardly ever known that to happen between a man and a woman once the woman is his wife.
I would make you a good husband.
You could?
And you would make me a good wife.
I'd try. But if things stayed the same, after a while my love would change, and I'd make you the worst kind of wife. No. While we're not man and wife, we can still survive as a man and woman if our love for each other never dies.
You can talk of not loving me. You know I'll never stop loving you.
The way you feel now, it seems you couldn't stop loving me. But circumstances and people make all things changeable.
No, don't say any more. It's my fault we're even discussing such things. I've waited too long to tell you, but I wanted to have my plans complete before I surprised you. I know you'll see things differently as soon as you know.
Know what, Zenas? Is it what I've waited to hear?
Would you let me tell it, woman? It's my surprise, isn't it?
Then tell me, and hurry.
This voyage was my last as captain of someone else's vessel. I've saved enough money to commission the building of my own ship.
Zenas, that's wonderful! Captain of your own ship! Oh, you'll be able to do as you choose, at last.
Aye, no more handing over the greatest share of the profits to owners who do nothing but sit safe in port, writing their neat little numbers in ledgers all day.
Your own ship, to do with as you please.
I've worked long and hard for this day when I could feel secure in my future. Now I'll put the numbers in my own ledgers, but I'll do it from my captain's berth at sea.
When, darling? When will it all be done?
I'll go to see Durfee tomorrow. He's a reputable builder and one with the intelligence to build what I've drawn.
Oh, you clever man. You have drawings of it already?
Do you think that my only thoughts are of you? There have been many nights spent planning every plank and nail. I'll have improvements in equipment no other captain has yet commissioned.
Tell me of them. I want to know it all.
I'll do better than tell. I'll show you. I have the plans in my jacket. Here, take these bowls away. I'll spread them on the table for you.
It looks beautiful and sturdy.
The frame will be only the most durable pasture oak. I'll insist on accompanying Durfee when he goes to mark the trees to be used in the building of it. From the ribs to the fancy work, my ship will be the best that can be built.
It looks quite narrow.
Longer and narrower than others, that's what my ship will be. Built to move faster through the water than any before her.
A wonderful improvement. It will get you home to me all the sooner.
Home to my wife.
Yes, Ennis. Now that you've broken away to be your own man, I'll be honored to be your wife.
At last. This is worthy of a toast. Bring back the cups.
I'll pour you some fresh.
This will do. To the future.
To a new life.
It'll be a good life.
And I'll make you a good wife. Here, your stew's gone cold. I'll refill your bowl with some hot from the fire.
There's no need. I've eaten all I want for now.
Your pipe. How about a light for your pipe?
Vivian, I have no doubt about the quality of care you'll give me as my wife.
We'll care for each other as we always have. But I'm so happy. I want to do something for you. I know. I'll sing you a song. One of the sailing songs you taught me.
Make it Nancy O.
As you wish, Captain. Just be patient while I make myself feel more a sailor. Farewell, my lovely Nancy, 10,000 times adieu. I'm a-going for to cross the ocean in search of something new. Come change a ring with me, my dear. Come change a ring with me. And that will be my fond token when I am on the sea. When I am on the sea, and you don't know where I be.
Ah, it's almost a shame you're a woman. That's how good a sailor you'd make.
I'll make a fine sailor, and still be all the woman you can handle.
I don't know what you're saying.
There's no reason a captain can't take his wife along on voyages.
There's every reason why this captain would do no such thing.
Surely you understand how much I want to sail in your new ship. I'd love to see those places that sound so wonderful and exciting.
I haven't gone to any of those places, not since I began making my name and fortune in the colonies. You know that well enough.
That was before. But now that you're going out on your own, you'll be free to go where you please, and for me to go with you.
My wife would be expected to keep our home and raise our family.
All of which you know I will do. But what could possibly be wrong with me coming along?
I'll not have you interfering in my business.
I could be a help to you. No, don't go all cold on me. Hold me, again as you were. Are my curves any less inviting to you? Because I would work with you, as well as love you?
This time you ask too much of me, Vivienne. For the owner and captain of a whaling bark to bring his wife with him? It can be done. I won't do it.
A whaling bark? Your new ship is to be a whaling bark?
Stop it, Vivienne. You have to have known that's what I've been saying. There are great profits to be made in whale oil and all the other whale goods the people demand. From this day on, I'll be the one who not only risks his life to give them what they want, I'll also be the one who gets the full price they're willing to pay.
There's plenty of money to be made in trading. I've told you that. You know it's true.
I know I need never want for anything if I'm rich, and that I can be assured of riches by doing what I do best, and that is whaling.
You'll want for me as your wife, because I'll never marry a whaler.
You're so certain of that?
As certain as I will ever be about anything in this life.
Then be certain. And be alone.
I don't want you to go.
You'll marry me and leave me to do what I will with my business?
I can't marry on those terms.
I won't give any others.
Then, we'll go on as before.
3 months later, in Vivian's bedroom. Zenas has stayed overnight and is buttoning his pants, trying not to make any noise. His back is to the bed, but when Vivian turns quietly towards him, he stiffens, aware she's awake. He doesn't face her, but continues buttoning his pants. I didn't mean to wake you.
You made no sound.
The light, then. There's no controlling a candle's light. If you'd have an oil lamp, then I could have moved the screw only the least of a turn and the light wouldn't have bothered you.
It wasn't the light, Zenas.
Then what? I've seen you sleep through winds pushing full gale against the houseboards and the ocean climbing over the rocks halfway up the cliff. What woke you now when the still was broken only by a quiet flame?
I knew you were going.
I didn't tell you.
You never tell me.
I'll make no noise next time.
You can't sneak up on it, Zenas, no matter how silently you leave, or how much darkness you use to cloak yourself.
You talk nonsense as if it were human.
Not human, but alive.
Of course the sea is full of life. I captain my bark and hunt the whales from her, and that is all I'm about this time. I only want an early start. Your fancies bore me, woman.
There is much between us, Zenas, but never boredom.
Your whole body smiles, your lips, your breasts. You're more than beautiful. Even without the candle, I would still see you as clearly as in full daylight. Every line and colour of you are there for me. No matter how far away, from you I take myself. I'll take you completely.
I'll give myself to you for a while.
You are mine, Vivian. No, this once admitted, you are mine.
Isn't it enough that I share myself with you?
The storm between us is never ending. This is to be my first voyage as captain of my own bark. It should be a time of celebration. You should have allowed me this, Vivian. Instead, you've provoked me for the entire time it's taken to build the ship, insisting it would be better if I stopped whaling. I've allowed that I'll only go after the larger whales.
That works well for you. Fewer whales will mean less work and time, and will bring you great profits just the same.
But fewer will die. Isn't that what you want?
It's more than just the numbers. You slaughter for your own profits, and some false power you would have over the sea.
When I'm at sea, I am the master.
You're as false as a master as the other owners.
I know what's best for me, and that is to go on whaling.
Then go. But it's pointless to try and catch the sea by surprise. It will know you are coming. Just as I always do.
You're a witch. Some dark thing of the earth.
I'm a woman.
It's the same.
I am a woman, nothing magical or dark. No one to fear.
Fear you?
People fear what they refuse to understand, and cannot control. You are no different. This is an old anger, Zenas. You rage at me and the sea. First riding one, then the other. You have been back and forth between us. But you still won't see the truth of either of us.
I have no fear of you.
Then take me with you.
Women bring a ship bad luck.
That's not your reason.
You would take me from my business.
Liar.
You would outnumber me.
There's the truth of it, at last. You believe that together somehow we'd overpower you. I tell you, Zenas rule. Neither the sea nor I want anything but to live with you.
I've had enough.
I'll make you some food before you leave. Sit down. It won't take me long to cook it for you.
No.
Oh, don't leap this way, Zenas. Sit with me for a while. Reason it out.
There is little reason in it. Oh, right, I'll sit for a while, but only if you'll listen to me.
You had too little sleep. You look tired.
There's little sleep in me these days. You've been on me too much, Vivian.
It is more than that.
There is no need for more. The angers that flare between us these days are enough. We have always been true with each other, I must say that. So in that truth I will tell you that the fleet owners have begun to concern me. Seems I was too good at making profits for them, and now they don't want me as their competition.
Have they threatened you?
They've made it plain to me that they mean to protect their interests.
Leave them to their profits.
My plan exactly. They've got many ships to my one, and there's plenty of whales to make us all wealthy.
They're smart enough to know you'll soon want more than one ship.
But not so smart that they'll be able to stop me.
They'll use their talk to build resentment against you amongst the people. It's a weapon they wield with such great skill.
Their talk won't stop me from what I'm about. Before long I will have their respect and acceptance.
What if they begin to use your seeing me against you?
Against us. All the more reason to marry me. That will quiet their speculations.
Must we always return to the same argument?
Until you agree. You know how much I love you. How much I've always wanted you since the first I saw you walking these cliffs with your hair blowing full behind you in the wind. Town's talk didn't stop me from what I wanted then, and it won't now.
What had they to say about me back then?
That a woman shouldn't be so bold as you. That it wasn't natural you hadn't remarried. That it was strange you had no children, to which the men would add, "How ripe and tempting is her body." And while they talked, I came up the cliffs after you.
And it was only for you that I was waiting. There isn't a one of the other men in town I would let near me. Though the truth is, they were more after this land. They were the same who tried hard to get it, even when Thomas was still alive.
Aye, good land it is. I can see where some would go far to get their hands on it. They still talk about how your husband wrote it down you were to get the best land and the house.
That was written, and much of the property within specifically named. Thomas knew they would come back and check on each item and food store, and be sure to take anything not mentioned. Still, his death was sudden, and there were some items he hadn't had time to add. It was probably best, though, that they were able to walk away with some things, or they might have been more angry than I could have handled.
He was very good to you, then. You've never really spoken of him to me, but others say he was respected.
He was a man highly respected by most. If he hadn't been, there are those who would have renounced his writing and forced me to leave this place, even though it's rightfully mine by virtue of my hard work. Thomas was older, and said he was certain to go before me. He promised that I would have what I had dreamed, but few others in the town will ever see the justice in it.
True enough. There are many regulations against women owning this much. I'd be lying to say I hadn't heard many cursing the fact a woman holds land with the most of the best trees for shipbuilding.
A half-day's trip, and they have more than the ever-greed can go through for a very long time.
Still, you do cause them more than one sleepless night, I'll wager. Thinking of the sweet and easy profits could be theirs, were they to find a way to own this land. And that's another good reason for marrying me. You know I have little use for your land. It's the sea I prefer. So you know it's you I want.
I've never doubted it. But with you I would gladly share the profits of this land. If you'd only agree, the sea could be home to both of us.
You don't know what you're saying.
But I swear to you I do. I would leave this house, this land...
Enough. You ask too much of both of us. It can't be done, I tell you. You can't leave your home to be with sailors who are crude, some cutthroats. They're not fit for a woman, my wife, to be around, but I need rough men to go after killer whales.
It's the men who are killers. But you could have different men. You could make your ship into a trader, and we could travel to those places that sound so exciting and bring back those wonderful spices.
Stop it, Vivienne. I'm a whaler. The profits are there to be taken from the sea, and that's what I'm going to do.
It's more than profits you would take from the sea, if you could. You want to control her. But you can't, Zenas.
I will control my ship and my own business.
If you keep whaling, it's the town and the other owners who will control you, as they always have.
No man or woman controls me, so stop trying.
You need to eat before you go.
I have the strength to go without a meal.
The sea will have the strength of a full belly. Even after you and all the others have emptied her of our life, the sea will still be stronger.
No more. Your words become wilder all the time. People will call you mad if they hear you say such things.
I don't care about the people. I care about life and about us. This new ship is our chance for a real life together.
I've offered you a real life with me as your husband. The ship will give us everything we could ever want from life, but you must stop these ravings.
They are not ravings, Xenis. I know it will only be good between us if you begin to live in harmony with the sea and me.
You know? How can you know?
Try to understand. The sea and the land too. The life of it only wants to be lived with.
The land and sea are not alive.
Not in the way you mean. But they breathe in their own way. You must feel it when you're alone sometimes at sea, just as I've come to feel it with the land and the air, and how I must know it with the sea.
You're possessed.
Stop it. You're not stupid like the rest. You know inside I'm right. You wouldn't keep coming back to me if you didn't want to know it better. Try. Just try to live with the sea this time instead of fighting it.
I see now you'll ruin yourself and me if I let you. I'm going while it's still dark enough to suit me.
It will know you are coming.
You're a mad woman. I won't return to this house of yours ever again.
The sea will know you're coming, Xenis, just as I will know when you are returning to me.
Four months later, in Vivian's kitchen. Vivian and Dorothy are talking.
All I know is that is what makes sense to me, Dorothy. To look at those things, as if they are written in a spirit of goodness. Then the words are loving, not threatening.
It goes against the teachings.
The teachings themselves say, to know yourself is to know all things.
Still, the church could call it heresy. To hear you say, to know ourselves is to know God.
Don't be frightened. I don't think there can be anything for us to fear in the truth.
The church says the truth, and the church says we must fear God.
Do you fear God, Dorothy? Or the church?
You'd be a fool if you didn't fear the church. We've all seen how harsh the punishments are laid down by the church.
That's the men of the town handing down those punishments. Not any God.
They are men of God.
We've been through this before, and we agreed that we are all men and women of God. It's not such a big step from that to see that if God is all-knowing, then the more we know, the more godlike we become.
Oh, Lord, forgive us for talking such things.
Speak for yourself, Dorothy. I've done nothing to ask forgiveness for, and neither have you, and you know it.
But we're told it's a sin to try and make ourselves a god.
God-like. And I believe more and more it must be a sin to settle for anything less.
Even if what you say is true, and I'm not saying that it is, at least not for certain, how can I believe what you say about women being able to be godlike? Surely that can only be true of men. If it is true, and I'm not saying that it is.
We were created in God's image, so the church says. Well then, since my image and yours are women's images, then I'd say that either God must have had a man-woman image, or there is a goddess as well.
That's the worst blasphemy of all. If anyone hears you, they'll accuse you at the meeting, and for me for listening to you.
We've come so far from where we were. When you first came to help me here, Dorothy, back then, you'd have been the one to accuse me.
Well, I wouldn't want to lose the work here. I need it too much.
Won't you admit you question too many things now to ever turn back? Or to turn on me?
I admit that I feel an obligation to you.
You don't need to feel obliged to me for anything. You earned what you've received.
No, I mean, I owe you for other things. For the way you got me to see how I could shape the candles.
You mean the way you make the faces sometimes?
Yes.
They're wonderful. I told you so, and I mean it.
They look the way I feel inside, if that makes any sense at all.
I only wish you wouldn't always melt them down.
I wouldn't ever want anyone else to see them. They'd say it was evil. Magic faces. Witches' figures.
That only proves how little they know. Especially those who say they are men of God. In fact, I believe the images you make are much closer to the image of God than they'll ever be. You should show them what they have to strive for.
Never. And if you tell anyone, I'll deny I ever did such things.
All right, we'll keep it to ourselves. Until the day comes you want others to see.
Curse any such day, because it would be the end of me.
And the beginning.
I heard talk that Captain Rule brought his ship into Kittery with a heavy load of whale oil. People wonder why he would have put ashore there instead of here.
He must have a good reason.
Some are saying he won't be coming back.
Some are wrong.
You are so certain. Still, it might be better if he were to make his home port elsewhere.
You've heard more talk from the fleet owners?
Never from the owners, who could get truth from their public words. The clerks and wives are the ones to listen to, and what they tell is, however it will be done, the owners won't allow a certain captain to interfere with their profits.
There will be enough for them all.
When you're accustomed to all, then any part that is taken makes you think you've suffered a loss.
They had it all when they came here, and they still want it all. Oh, they'll never be any different.
No, and so you can understand why the captain hasn't returned.
Of course. He knows what they are capable of. He expected it before he set sail from here.
He can have known about the new regulations back then.
He knew they would find ways to shut him out of their business. That's why he fooled them and made his profit further south along the coast. He'll return on his own terms, when he has commissioned more ships.
No, don't say any more. News such as this will tempt me too much to gossip.
It's all right, Dorothy. It's hard to turn from old habits. Besides, I'm certain that one or more of the owners has already determined Captain Rule's plans. They can't all be as ignorant as they look.
Still, for your sake, it might be better for you if the captain were not so far away after all. He has come between the people and their anger at you. Before.
And all that has accomplished is for the people to spread their anger to him. Oh, the people make no real sense. I can better understand how some are angered for want of this land, and others for proof that their rumours about Zenith are mere true. But to be angry at my offering candles for sale. Oh, I sell so few, Dorothy.
It's the reason you sell candles that angers them.
I will never allow them to forget where or how they get their lamp oil. I will continue to sell my candles from my door and town square. I've been thinking of taking a small cart to the wharf as well.
You can't. The ship's crews are hard. They'd hurt you. And the townspeople would say you brought it on yourself.
The townspeople are often more dangerous than any sailor.
Quiet. Oh, God, must you say such things?
I felt it for a long time. You know it's true, don't you?
I know no such thing.
I can see it in your eyes. Once we know the truth, it's impossible to ever completely accept the lie again.
I have no idea what you're saying, and I won't listen to any more of it. The townspeople only punish those who deserve it.
And how long before they decide that I deserve it? And what will the punishment be? A public scolding?
No, there'll be nothing as long as you only sell from here.
You mean they won't hold it against me that you sell the candles for me in the town square? What difference who sells them? They know they are mine. So if I add a peddler's cart, they shouldn't be so surprised.
Don't you see? You'll be throwing it into their eyes, bringing everything out into the open.
The only way to change them is to be open about it.
They don't want to change. They want you to change to their ways.
There are some who buy the candles, so that must mean that some have changed already.
They may buy a few candles, but that doesn't mean they'll give up using oil. Even if they never used another drop of whale oil themselves, they won't be giving up their livelihood. Whaling barks are built here, and people buy all manner of whale products.
They build other ships and sell other products.
The profits are not near as great. No, it's too big a change.
Not if the people understand.
You think you can just tell them and they'll understand.
You understand now. You're different. Others can change too.
Open your eyes, will you? It's time you see things as they are down below in the town, and not the way they seem possible up here on your cliff, looking out to the sea.
You're right. I need to be in the town more, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'll go see Mr. Dufree today about us building a small cart. One I can take through all the town.
Please listen to me. This is not the time to do anything new to get people set against you.
Look around you. My house is overflowing with good candles, and I'm going to sell them.
You can't. New regulations forbid it.
Forbid me selling candles from a cart. Why?
No one can sell candles from a cart or anywhere else anymore. The buying of them is forbidden too, except for use in church services or on special days. Candles have been recognized as religious objects by the church now.
It's another regulation by the owners and the whale merchants, and it's being backed by those so-called men of God. Well, they can't expect everyone to be stupid enough to think that candles are suddenly too religious to use when we want.
You can't say such things. And surely, you see, you can't sell the candles. They'll punish us both if you do. I haven't sold them in the square for weeks. Not since the regulations were made public.
But you did sell candles. Not many, but some.
I do it secretly. There are a few I know who still want them, and who you have caused to question certain of the town's practices.
So there are people with courage. Dorothy, why didn't you tell me before?
There are people with good enough standing in the town that others close their eyes to what they do. If I had told you any such thing, you would be acting as you are now, ready to do this rash thing.
Tell me who they are, because from now on, I'll see to it they have a ready supply. Help me pack up some of these right away.
You don't have a cart.
I'll carry as many as I can hold. Here, this will do.
Oh, if you insist on this, I'll take them around.
No, you talked me into that before. You've been the one who had to sneak around to do it, and all the while keeping the regulations and any anger away from me. You've been good to me, Dorothy.
I only wanted to keep things as they are. But you'll ruin it all now. My husband warned me he'd put a stop to my working here if any more is said to him by the others.
Maybe it's best if you do stop coming here. It'll soon be time for you to be with your new baby.
But I thought you wanted me here. I thought I would work for you again, maybe bring the baby with me. What am I going to do without you? I mean, without the work.
You'll find other work. Safer than candles.
The candles. The candles! Oh, curse the candles in internal hell! They will ruin everything! You can't fight them.
I can't let them get away with it all.
You say you want to live with them, but you're so headstrong. You just keep moving on against them. You keep frightening them.
The truth is what frightens them.
And why are you the one to make them see this truth, as you call it? I only know this truth. That what you're going to do will cause more trouble. Why must you always do that? Maybe you're insane, as they say, or maybe you are a witch. Maybe that's the truth of my going against them for you. Yes, I made the candles because you put a spell on me. And that must be why I defied the elders and the regulations. That's what I'll tell them. You use magic on me. You're a witch.
You know that isn't true. You've seen what you can do on your own. Don't go back to all the stupidity and fear.
I won't listen to any more lies from a crazed widow. A woman who has disgraced herself with a whaling captain who won't even come to port anymore because he's had his fill of her. Well, I'm away from you and all the evil things you've had me do and think. If you come into town with your damnable candles and ravings, I swear that is how I will denounce you. The townspeople will stand against you, and from now on, I will stand with them.
Two weeks later. Late afternoon. Good afternoon, Widow Coring. As you see, I've come to you in broad daylight for the whole town to know.
Zenas? Oh, Zen, I'm afraid you'd be too late.
You didn't already know I was coming?
They taunted me, so I was beginning to doubt it.
They? The townspeople, you mean? Then it's no wonder they gave me little more than blank faces when I walked through the square, announcing I was on my way to ask the widow to take me as her husband. So it's only proper that they should feel embarrassed.
It's not embarrassment, Zen. It's far more than that.
No matter. Forget them for now. I have too much to tell you to waste time talking about the ignorance of the town. I've come back to marry you, Vivienne, and on my own terms.
No! I've been through too much to hear this from you again. How could you return? Only to offer what I've refused before.
Please, darling, hear me out. The terms aren't mine alone, they are ours.
I'm tired, Zenas. Too tired to be joked with.
I promise you this is no joke, although you may well laugh. The Lord knows I did, long and hard. But sit down and let me start at the beginning. The first hunt aboard my own ship was a most successful one, and in less time than ever before I was making my way to port. My plan was to put in at Kittery to outsmart the fleet owners here. I knew you'd be quick to think that out. Anyway, everything went smoothly. The market is even more hungry than in Wells, and larger by far in population. Whaling ships are built faster and better there than I could have imagined, and several of the more prosperous owners were quick to offer me partnerships.
A partnership with whalers is not...
Hear me out. A woman who loves me would give me a fair hearing. Are you still that woman?
Yes.
I want no such partnerships. I took my profits and immediately commissioned another ship of my own to be built while I was on the next voyage. As soon as another crew was found, I was off to the sea again. I was going to do the same over and over until I had enough ships to compete with the most powerful owners in Wells. I was certain then you'd not refuse to wed me.
So, you were coming back to me? I wasn't wrong about that.
When I left here last time, I almost believed it was forever, but I had made my plan. To have my own fleet and have you for my wife, and I was determined to have my way. Only my plan hadn't taken into consideration the warnings you'd given me about the sea. You said I couldn't sneak up on it. Still, I set out in the darkest of the night. As soon as we were out of port, up came the fiercest storm I've ever been in. We fought the wild waves then. Suddenly a huge rush of water pulled me from the deck into the sea. I was swirling down with no way to control what was happening to me. Then I was hit with such tremendous force I was certain it was the crushing pain of death.
To think that I almost lost you and I had no knowledge of it.
No, don't think that. I wasn't dying. I realized soon that it was not death I was meant to understand that night. The pain racked my body, but I was no longer drowning. Some gigantic thing had tossed me out of the whirlpool and was keeping me above the water. The storm ended as quickly as it had risen, and I saw I was aback a great whale. The crew sent out a skiff for me, and that whale let me swim to it. After they hauled me aboard, they reloaded the harpoon gun. They could not believe it when I ordered them to let the beast go. I had myself quite a laugh and commanded we return to port. They thought me mad, but knew you'd see the joke in it.
I'm shaking picturing what you just told me.
But you must see the humour in it, you of all people. There I was, being given my life by the very creature I'd set out to kill. I swear to you, Vivian, it knew that by letting me live and come back to you, I'd never kill another whale. You have to agree that's the greatest joke that could have been played on me. That whale was my master for a time, but it was something so much more, something better, and it showed me I'd been something less by killing so many of its kind. You knew that, but still you loved me.
I loved you, and I'll always love you.
Then we'll be married, and the town will never worry you again. They'll accept you now.
The town will never accept me, as your wife or otherwise.
You're wrong. They can be hard, but they'll understand that things have changed. Why, I wager the owners will be among the first to buy the cargoes I'll be carrying in my new trade schooner.
Zenas, you must listen to me. I'll marry you. But we must go away from here.
Nonsense. It will only take a short time for the past to be forgotten. The townspeople enjoy a wedding celebration, and we'll have a fine one. Before you know it, they'll have gotten on with their own lives and left us to do the same.
The town never leaves anyone to get on with their own lives. The regulations are meant to control everyone. If you defy the regulations, they feel out of control and become afraid.
You're the one that sounds afraid.
Yes, I am afraid, but it's a different kind of fear. I finally understand that.
Well, I don't understand you. I will certainly be pleased at all I had to tell you. I know it's hard to believe, but I swear to you it happened.
I do believe you, but you must believe me also. The people will not allow me to stay. Look around. I was readying to leave. I've taken as long about it as possible because I wanted you to come back for me. Now that you have, we must get away from here.
Isn't it enough I come to you willing to give up whaling? Why must I give up the place where I've struggled to earn respect and standing?
This place will never respect you. You threatened their profits, and I have gone against them now more times than they will allow. They will destroy us, especially now I have openly defied the regulations.
What have you done?
Wheeled my small cart through the square, from house to house and down the sea to sell my candles. There are regulations against it. So great is their ignorance and fear that followed me, cursing me and slamming my cart against the sea wall until they'd smashed it, and all my beautiful candles as well. I ran up the cliffs and home, but it's only a matter of time before they come.
I warned you from the beginning the damn candles would only cause trouble. Why, Vivian? Why must you always be a cursed headwind to the town and to me? I'll bend to you, but the town isn't going to change its course, and it's strong enough to push right through you.
Don't you see? That's why I must leave. I realize they won't change. I was arrogant enough to think that all I had to do was show them another way, and they would see and understand. But all I've done is put others and myself in danger, and made it impossible for us to ever stay.
Once we're married, they'll think better of you. If you'll only promise to obey the regulations.
The regulations are ugly lies. I can't obey them.
You could, and as my wife...
It's gone beyond marriage and regulations. They can't control me. So they've branded me evil. Anyone who would stay by me will be thought the same. It'll be easy to taint you along with me, because now they want rid of you as well. You must understand. The only chance for us is to go, before they do us any real harm.
My future is sure here, I tell you. And you would have me begin anew?
Our future is in ourselves, and our now love together.
Let it be here.
It's past my letting.
There has been no more than your saying. Tell me, or I'll not be able to stop myself from shaking it out of you.
I will not relive the horror of it. Come with me now. Take my word on the need of it.
There must be another way.
No, Captain. She's right. You must leave. It's the only way for you.
What now, Dorothy? Spying on what we say? Have you come ahead of the others to be certain to see it all?
I've come to warn you to go as quickly as you can. The leaders have most of the people so wild they would come for you both now, instead of waiting for darkness.
What do you mean, come for us?
There are those who would have everybody believe it's because she is a witch. But I listened in secret when the leaders met away from the rest. And it's for the land. And your ship as well. I beg you, believe me. I could never harm you.
Oh, God. Have I become as hateful as the others? Forgive me, Dorothy, for mistrusting you.
You had every reason to think wrong of me. The things I said when I was last with you. And turning away when they came at you in town. I've nearly gone insane with thinking of it all. But I know you're not what they say. What I said to you was in fear of having to go on without you to give me strength.
You're here in spite of your fear. You have strength.
Not for myself. Not yet. I came because of the new child within me. If I don't do what I can to save you after all you've done for me, then what manner of mother could I make this baby?
Save her? What are you telling us, woman?
They'll come soon when it's full night. I heard them plotting. They said it would be the wolves as before.
Do you mean as it was with Thomas?
They said the terrible accident would be as terrible a second time.
He was ripped apart by the wolves. They said it happened too quickly for any of the others to stop it.
But I heard the leaders planning to do it the same way to you. At first I couldn't believe they had done such a thing, but their own words left me no doubt.
Murder?
They said Thomas was to come to the meeting house, some urgent town business. Thomas knew there was danger that night. Why else did he insist on writing out the will before he left? He meant to keep the land from those who had tried often to get it from us. He feared their greed might cause his death, and they must have seen I expected the same.
If this is so, why were you spared?
I can only think they feared no one would believe them if they blamed my death on an accident too. Besides, I was a widow, and I have always thought they felt I'd be easy prey for any man they chose to represent the interests of them all.
Only she was not to be had so easily, and you were the only man she favoured.
But you say they suspected you knew they were behind his death, and that you feared they might harm you too? Why then didn't you tell me this before?
It was too horrible a thing to give reality of words. And somehow, I thought I could fight them, or shame them into some kind of remorse, get them to admit the truth of what they had done. It wasn't the whole town, then, only a few of the men, but powerful ones. When they could not get the land by marrying me, they began to set the rest of the town against me. I helped them without meaning to, with my constant attempts to change their ways. I was so sure of myself, and so wrong. I've put us all in great danger, and why? Those who murdered Thomas go unchallenged. Instead, they grow more powerful, and they will have the land after all. The town will go on with its greedy, deadly ways. I failed miserably.
Why do you think it is for you to make the whole town change? What made you believe you were meant to do such a thing? Let it be enough that you change me. And because of you, this baby inside me will be different too. It's a terrible place I'm bringing this new life into, but thanks to you, I begin to think that I can show this one at least a better way.
I know you can. You're proving it now. Maybe that can be enough for me too.
I promise to do for this child what you have done for me. Even though that means someday I may have to leave this place same as you. I will try to have enough strength to face that. Even though I don't know where I would go or how I and this little one would survive.
If your turn comes, know that you and yours are welcome wherever Zenas and I will be.
Do you promise to send me word, somehow, of where I can find you?
No matter where our ship takes us, we will always find a way to keep you informed of our next port.
That will give me the strength I need to go on without you. For as much as I want to beg you to stay, I have to see you go to safety. Captain, you must see the need to leave now.
Yeah, I see it, and I hope I haven't come to it too late.
No, there is time. They will not come before dark. They will need the night to hide what they really are about. For not everyone in town would fully accept this most heinous act. But you must be careful to leave without anyone seeing you, so no one raises an alarm.
That'll be all right. There are ways around the town for us to take.
But what of your ship, Zenas?
I'll arrange for her to leave port and meet us down the coast a short way. I'll go now and be back for you as quickly as possible.
No, Captain. You must take care not to let anyone know what you are about. Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
I cannot allow a woman, especially one so soon, to have a child.
It's for my child that I will do this. You must see the need for keeping out of everyone's sight. It will take so little to set them against you.
Thank you for giving us this chance. I will get some money and something of mine that my steward will recognize. Give him these things and my instructions. He can be trusted as long as he's well paid.
Be careful no one sees you leaving here and accuses you of having to do with our escape. I can't find a way to thank you, as you should be. But know that you will always be on my heart, my good friend. Here, take this with you. It's one of 2 of your candles I was able to put away before you could melt them back down. I'll keep the others safe for you until we get together again.
I'm so afraid. What if I go back to my old ways when you're gone?
You're less afraid than you were. And you've proved you won't let them control you anymore by coming here today.
You are braver than many men who have sailed for me, and when you're ready for me to repay this debt, be sure that I will do whatever you need of me.
I ask only that you keep her safe and happy, and that when the time comes we will meet again. I must hurry and make the arrangements for you. Please leave soon after me. Thank you for the hope of my new one.
Thank you for the hope of my new life.
These are wild, unruly things that are happening. The storm and that whale, and now this woman having more courage and good than an entire town. It makes no sense.
I'm not so sure of that, Zenas. All these things are connected, one to the other. None of us is free for the rest. Nor are we separate from our actions. Most in this town have chosen to live in discord with all things. They cannot go on forever without answering for that. Perhaps Dorothy or the child will have a say in it all. For us, where we are going, we will live in harmony. And I believe the sense of it will be easier to see with every new day.
Then we must hurry and leave, so that we are sure to live it. No, leave it. We can replace whatever's inside. We must travel light and fast.
I need nothing from here. I will leave something from it, though. A candle. They will think it burns because I am nearby and plan to return. That will ensure us enough time. Let it be my last, best word to them. Even though it's not spoken, they will understand soon enough the truth of it.
You have been listening to Christie Wright as Vivian, Sue Ford as Dorothy, and Robert Chantler as Zenas. Headwind was written by Diane Taber and produced and directed for radio by Robert Chantler. This has been a Free Theatre Company production.